Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this video, I'll talk a little bit about the card game market, also with some focus on Hearthstone, on how is Hearthstone doing, how is Hearthstone really doing right now, and how's the card game market doing right now, because recently we have had a bunch of bad news about various games in the card game market. DC Dual Force ceased to exist altogether, Legends of Runeterra focusing on PvE, reducing the team size a lot. Gwent no longer releases new cards, balancing by community votes. So games are shuttering down, games are reducing resources, games are going into maintenance mode. What's going on with the card game market? This is a topic that was requested by my top tier patron Witchcraft, and it is an intriguing topic. So let's take a look at what card games are currently on the market and how are they doing. First of all, the card game market includes both physical card games and digital card games, and you can't talk about card games without talking about Magic: The Gathering by Wizards of the Coast, later on acquired by Hasbro, the original game in the entire collectible card game genre, released in 1993. And Magic: The Gathering, numbers-wise, is doing pretty well, because Magic: The Gathering became a $1 billion business, $1 billion annual revenue business in 2022, and it was able to repeat that feat in 2023 with 1% growth in 2023. However, Magic has also faced some criticism over the recent years. Magic is releasing more sets and more collectible items than ever before, and there are some concerns that there's overproduction of Magic cards, and these will hurt the golden goose and threaten Magic's long-term viability. Be that as it may, Magic: The Gathering is either the biggest card game in the world or at least the second biggest card game in the world, just a phenomenal business still. Then there is Pokémon trading card game, released by the Pokémon Company, which is a joint venture by Nintendo and others who own the Pokémon copyrights. And yeah, Pokémon is a huge business. Pokémon trading card game was first released in 1996, so just a few years after Magic, and the entire Pokémon business generates more than $11 billion in revenue per year. But how much of that is from the trading card game, how much is from other stuff like all the toys and the series and Pokemon Go and everything? Well, they don't release revenue figures by product line, but they did tell us that Pokémon TCG sold 9.7 billion cards during their financial year of 2023. 9.7 billion cards. So, well, even if cards were sold at $1 per pack, a pack consists of 10 cards, then that would already be $970 million. And a Pokemon pack in a store costs something like $5-6. Obviously, the store has to have a good chunk of margin there as well, but $2 per pack, and we're close to talking about $2 billion. So, yeah, depending a little bit, we don't have the exact figures, but Pokemon trading card game is very close to Magic, or it's even a bigger business than Magic. Yep, these are pretty big numbers. Aside from Magic, the top trading card games come from Japan. There's Pokemon, and then there's Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! There's Master Duel, and there's Duel Links, so those two are digital card games. Master Duel is the slightly more complex one, Duel Links is the more simplified one, and then there's the physical trading card game as well. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is made by Konami. It was originally launched in 1999. And trying to look into Konami financial reports, Konami has a business line called Digital Entertainment, which includes all of their digital games. It also includes the physical aspect of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digital Entertainment as a whole is a $1.6 billion business per year. But it's a little bit hard to say what is Yu-Gi-Oh's share of this. There have been some earlier reports that at some point Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards were sold even only in Japan, which is their main market though, worth more than 200 millions per year. And then there are some reports about Yu-Gi-Oh! On mobile devices, where Master Duel and Duel Links are combined, making somewhat under 100 million per year. So we could determine that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is somewhere 300 million, 400 million, 500 million. It's a little bit hard to determine accurately, but it's quite clear that Yu-Gi-Oh is smaller than Magic and smaller than Pokemon, and that's still a very, very big card game. And there are even more card games coming from Japan, because card games like One Piece, for example, there's a whole bunch of these card games that are made by Bandai Namco. Currently, they have card games based on One Piece, on Dragon Ball, and on Digimon. And these are apparently quite successful, judging by their financial reports. They don't give exact numbers on their card game business, but they do state that these have had a clear and very significant effect on their results. And overall, Bandai Namco is a $7.5 billion company on annual revenue. So, but they have a lot of products, so it's really hard to say how much do each of these actually earn. Also, Bandai Namco is interesting because they have a history of creating a lot of collectible card games, lots of digital collectible card games as well. And those have typically lasted between 2 and 5 years. So like Digimon, for example, they have had 6 versions. Dragon Ball, pretty much the same. One Piece is now on its first iteration as a card game. But they've just had many, many versions of these card games that they have then abandoned, and then they have started a new one, and then they just keep making more money. So yeah, that's an interesting perspective, interesting business model when it comes to card games, because their card games just don't seem to last that long, even though the brand does. So there's just a new card game from that same brand again. And yet they still seem to be doing pretty well. When we look at purely digital card games, the number one purely digital card game in the world is Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap, created by Second Dinner, many former Hearthstone developers, led by Ben Brode, so very visible ex-Hearthstone developers. Marvel Snap launched on October 18, 2022. It was the number one highest revenue mobile card game of 2023. According to AppMagic data from October 18, 2023, at that point in 2023, so it's not the full year, but almost, Marvel Snap had generated 88 million in revenue. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel was at 39, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links was at 25, Magic the Gathering Arena was at 24, and Hearthstone was at 22 million. So Marvel Snap is roughly a $100 million business on an annual basis, and just doing really spectacularly well. So what about Hearthstone? Blizzard has not released numbers about Hearthstone's performance in many years, and now that they are part of Microsoft, I looked through all the Microsoft financials about gaming, and those are even more quiet about it. It's really hard to see anything what's going on anymore at Blizzard Studios, because now they're part of Microsoft and they just don't report on that level. However, we can take a look at some of the previous reporting, and I did the best that I could, the largest investigation that I have made so far myself into Hearthstone's numbers, and let's see what I uncovered. So, Hearthstone was released in March 2014. It had a revenue of over 400 million in its peak year, which was 2017, at least I think it did, because it was 390 something million in 2016, and then it grew into 2017. The exact numbers have not been stated, but it should be a little bit over 400 million, because it was already almost 400 million the previous year. In 2023, because we had the AppMagic data, so mobile revenue for Hearthstone was somewhere around 25 million, 26 million, maybe 27 million, but somewhere in that region anyway. Well, that's only the mobile revenue. Hearthstone is also available on PC. We can find earlier reports that say that mobile and PC revenue of Hearthstone are pretty much the same, 50-50. However, that's back in the day when Hearthstone was also available in China, and now it's no longer available in China, and China used to be a quarter of the mobile revenue of Hearthstone. So if we remove that part, and then we assume that the PC revenue has not really changed, then we could speculate that in 2023 Hearthstone could have earned total revenue of around 60 million. Maybe it's 50 million, maybe it's 70 million, but that's roughly the neighborhood of Hearthstone's revenues, as far as I can tell anyway, which puts it as a smaller game right now than Marvel Snap. But I mean, we're still talking about a game that makes tens of millions, so it's still a very successful game, obviously. And apart from Hearthstone, Marvel Snap, Magic, and the Japanese competitors, there don't seem to be any other really notable digital card games right now. For example, if we look at Legends of Runeterra, which is now scaling back really hard, Legends of Runeterra by Riot, praised for its gameplay and praised for its very friendly system for free-to-play, it was launched in April 2020. And the mobile revenues that I was able to find about this game, it had earned $16.2 million up to July 2021. And then up to July 2022, it had earned an additional 7.8 million. So that's 24 million earned in a little under 2.5 years. Yeah, that's really not on the same level at all. As a side note, by the way, fun side note, because people are saying that, hey, Warcraft Rumble was such a huge disappointment. Warcraft Rumble earned more in 2 months than Legends of Runeterra earned in 2.5 years. So think about that if you think about whether Blizzard is going to stop doing Rumble. Yeah, not if they can affect things and it doesn't get too bad, because Rumble has already been printing some serious money. Anyway, Legends of Runeterra, not successful enough. Nothing just seems to be successful enough on the digital side. But there are some interesting competitors on the physical side of things. First of all, there is Flesh and Blood, released by Legendary Story Studios from New Zealand, only a physical card game developed by a former Magic professional, and of course a team built around him, and focused on being a competitive collectible card game. It was first released in 2019, and it has seen really rapid growth since. The growth seems to be leveling out at the moment, but still it grew really impressively. And the company has annual revenues of around 50 million to 75 million US dollars. So this game is approximately on the same level right now as Hearthstone. 2019 release, physical card game. And it's not even the most successful recent physical card game launch, if I read my numbers right. Because in August 2023, Disney Lorcana was released. Lorcana was created by Ravensburger. Ravensburger is a long-term German company, a very well-known gaming company, board games, this sort of games, but it has never made a collectible card game before. So this is their first collectible card game, for which they have licensed IP from Disney, and they are being quite aggressive with it. It's coming, expansions are already coming every 3 months. The second expansion is out right about now. And Ravensburger's financial reports, Ravensburger is a private company, so it's not possible to see all of their details, but they did have revenue of 669 million euros in 2023, which was growth of 11.6% over 2022, and in their report they attributed this largely to the success of Lorcana, which is their most successful product launch ever. Well, if this is largely from Lorcana, if we can say that, hey, Lorcana made like 60 to 70 million within that less than half a year period, then yeah, then that's pretty huge. But obviously we don't have more exact numbers about it. But anyway, there are some interesting games coming on the physical side of things. So even though we are seeing some of these digital games die and get abandoned, the card game market overall, it actually doesn't look that bad. Looking at reports of the card game market overall, even in 2021, 80% of the card game market was physical, only 20% was digital. The digital market is predicted to grow faster and within a couple of years reach 30% share of the market, because the digital market, there's lower barrier to entry. It's easier for people to find other people to play with, so you're not tied to just finding a community for yourself locally. However, this also means that there is a lot of competition on the digital side. These card games, digital card games, they just keep coming up at a rapid pace. So most of these digital products will actually fail, and the market is quite fragmented. But still, the overall market size is growing, even the digital side, and maybe especially the digital side, and also the physical side. So card game market as such is doing quite well. In the physical side, there's a lot of difficulties in getting enough product produced than just getting the right quality done. So there are significant barriers to entry in getting to that physical business, and in digital there are not. So on a surface level it might appear that digital products are failing, but actually there are just so many of them that overall the market is succeeding. Overall, it doesn't look like there is a single silver bullet to succeeding as a card game. What have successful card games done? Well, typically they have built something new, something exciting, like Hearthstone took card games to the digital world. Marvel Snap really streamlined the process and took them maybe to the mobile world even more. Then strong IPs. Well, Marvel Snap also has strong IP with Marvel, and stuff like Pokémon, very strong. Also, managing game balance in the long term has been a challenge. And Magic the Gathering, of course, is the prime example where that has been done fairly successfully, at least. At least I hope it will also continue to be like that. Whereas something like Bandai Namco has just abandoned card game after card game and started from scratch. Hearthstone has also, well, Hearthstone is turning 10 years old, so Hearthstone has managed to find ways to keep the game fresh, keep the game exciting, and keep the game balanced over the years. And also, you need a monetization plan. Legends of Runeterra just failed to monetize properly. It just didn't make enough money. Obviously, you could question whether the loot box model, that basically all these card games are built around these random booster boxes, is the only way to monetize. Well, Marvel Snap already has some different ideas about that. So there can be some different ideas, but you still need to be able to monetize. So first you need to get into the market with something new, something exciting, maybe have a strong IP of your own, or at least a very, very strong idea of how the game is going to serve its audience. And then once you're in the market, then you need to keep managing the game balance and have a plan to monetize your game in order to be successful in the long term. And yeah, it really doesn't look like it's an easy task, but some of the games have been able to achieve that anyway. Not every card game has to make tens of millions a year to succeed. It also depends on the team size and the resources. For example, one of my favorite digital card games is Eternal card game. And Eternal has this fairly small but dedicated audience that it has just had year after year after year. The game has been going on for many years already. I'm not sure whether Eternal is a good business for Direwolf Digital. I think it's also probably kind of a passion project for them. But still, by using fewer resources on the game, it's also possible to succeed in the fragmented digital card game space, even if you don't have millions of players, even if you just have thousands of players. So overall, card games are not going anywhere. The card game market is doing perfectly fine, even though many digital competitors are going to fall and others will rise to take their places. And some card games that are well managed will stand the test of time and be around for decades. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.